regardless, boarding last but one via the rear door. My colleague dived aboard as the doors were closing, and thankfully we touched down in Warsaw without incident. The sight that greeted us as we stepped onto the tarmac was staggering. Rows of planes emptied out hordes of far-right activists from around the world, alongside Polish nationalists returning for the celebrations. The events of the next 48 hours were the perfect embodiment of the nature of the contemporary international far-right. Traditional nationalists, representing various political parties, were joined by Nazis who prioritized race above nation, alongside activists from modern transnational far-right movements such as the alt-right, the identitarians, and anti-Muslim counter-jihadists, all reported on by right-wing alternative media outlets and live-streamed by the new breed of far-right social media influencers. Hate has gone global, and this demonstration proved it. By 10 the next morning, the streets around the Palace of Culture and Science, the vast brick edifice that towers over central Warsaw, had already begun to pulse with red and white flags. Most of the crowd wore Polish flag armbands. The young girls had red and white flowers in their hair. The young boys' scarves and hats were proudly adorned with the Polish eagle. It looked like any other national celebration, with patriotic families and friends gathering to commemorate the centenary of the restoration of the country's sovereignty in 1918. Yet look a little closer, and a more sinister picture emerged. Some wore scarves emblazoned with the white supremacist version of the Celtic cross, while others streaming out of the metro station sported Odal, Rune, and Nazi SS Black Sun tattoos on their arms and faces, sometimes partly obscured by skull face masks and balaclavas. The crowds began to gather in earnest from around midday at the Dmowski roundabout. As nationalist songs blared out across the closed roads, groups huddled around a green gazebo, the roof of which bore the green, crooked arm and sword logo of the National Radical Camp, Obóz Narodowo-Radykalny, ONR. The trestle tables were loaded with badges, stickers, T-shirts, bandanas reading "Good Night Left Side," with an image of one man stamping on another, and a selection of books including what looked like a self-published Polish-language version of Norman Finkelstein's notorious The Holocaust Industry. The men taking the money wore balaclavas, combat trousers, bomber jackets and black Dr. Martens boots. The National Radical Camp is a fascist group named after an anti-Semitic organization of the 1930s, well known for being the organizer of numerous marches in Myślenice, a town in southern Poland, to mark the anniversary of the anti-Jewish riots in that city in 1936. Joining them as co-organizers of the demonstration were All Polish Youth, a virulently homophobic far-right youth organization whose motto is Youth, Faith, Nationalism. They erected their own gazebo adjacent to that of the ONR, raised their own triangular flags, a sword on a green background, and began to distribute stickers and leaflets. As the 2 p.m. start time grew nearer, ever larger groups of balaclava-clad men gathered, and the first of countless red flares was lit. The city echoed with the sound of exploding bangers, making demonstrators jump and flinch. What started as a trickle became a flood as people burst out of every tributary road, alleyway and metro station. The police presence was inconceivably small, with just the odd group of officers scattered around, albeit with pump-action shotguns and strings of cartridges across their chests. This demonstration was marshalled by the far-right organizers themselves. The roads along the route were lined by all Polish youth activists, faces covered, red electrical tape around their arms to identify them, some wearing military helmets and protective glasses. The ONR had a flatbed truck with a PA system over which call and response was demanded of the crowd. In the distance, I could hear the faint pounding of a bass drum to keep the chants in time. At far-right demonstrations, you often hear the sound of drums in the distance well before you see them. Then the Polish national anthem boomed over the loudspeaker, and the crowd, by this time tens of thousands strong, exploded.